welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna share with y'all 5 moments, embarrassing moments with the Cowboys. I don't know what to call them. They're not like embarrassing, they're just moments that I'm like, I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments down below what you would call these moments or these little stories, because I don't know what kind of term to use. Quick backstory, I've been working with the Cowboys for about 10 years or so. So I've had my moments where I'm like, things change over the course of time. There are things that happened when I first started that looking at it now, I'm like, yeah, I would never do that again. So here are my moments. These are not in any particular order. I'm just gonna tell you guys as a story time. Pre-COVID, a group of us would always go down the field and be there during the last 3 minutes of the game or so and just watch from the sideline. We no longer do that because things changed during and after COVID. So anyways, back in the day when I first started, I would do my post-game videos on the field, Reporte Bajero, in somoscowboys.com. And the first one ever, and if you guys know my story, there's a video kind of how I started working for the Cowboys. You can watch it on my channel, and I tell the whole story of kind of how I landed on this job. But basically didn't really have any experience, done a few things in front of the camera at the time, but I was coming right off college. My background was in video production and making movies and things like that. I had done a few things in front of the camera because I was also doing a lot of modeling during that time. But let me tell you guys a quick side note too. If you guys are Cowboys fans and watch our content on DallasCowboys.com, most of you guys would know who Derek is. And he's my boss. If you don't know Derek in person, and everyone would agree to this, he's a great guy, love him, but he has this thing where he does a stare, where he just stares at you with piercing eyes. And then you just get nervous. You're like, give me something, give me like a nod or some kind of movement. Imagine me starting out, doing my first video. I'm on the field, we have the camera person, Derek is standing there, and he's watching, you know, I'm a new hire, new to this, and he's just watching me. And I know he doesn't speak Spanish, and I know that whatever I'm saying, he wouldn't understand, but it still made me nervous. So I'm there. And when you step on the field, it's just like, oh my gosh, even though people are leaving, all the fans are walking out and leaving, you feel that everybody's looking at you and staring at you. But that's not the case, but that's how you feel. So I'm there and I'm like, oh my God. I start telling my report. I'm so nervous that I just like mess up everything that I'm saying. I'm just kind of playing along because he's just there standing, staring at me, watching what I'm doing. And I'm just like spitting out words. I'm like, all right, whatever. Figure it out in post-production, in editing. I'm still the one that kind of edits my own stuff. So I'm just like, okay, we'll just figure it out later. And I do my report, it's terrible. It's so bad to the point that I never ended up posting it. I mean, that's how bad it was. I'm like, there was no editing that could salvage what I did. And Derek has this famous phrase, when there's something that went wrong or whatever, he gives you the benefit of the doubt. And instead of being like, hey, why did you do this? He always starts off with, hey, is there a reason why, da-da-da-da-da? That's one of Derek's famous quotes. The following day, I think it was, he's like, hey, is there a reason why this video never got posted? And I'm like, man, I'm so sorry. Lucky for me, it was preseason. It was like the first preseason game. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I was so nervous. I decided not to post it because it was really bad. And I was just too nervous, to be honest. But it was the first preseason game, so let's just look at it as a practice round, blah, blah, you know, me trying to help the situation. And Derek is super understanding. He's a great boss. And he'll be like, that's okay, I understand, you'll get better. I was so embarrassed by the situation. Obviously, whenever you start a job, you want to impress. You want to try to impress your boss and do everything right. And I did not. It was terrible. I would say definitely was embarrassing. For me, was an embarrassing moment. By the way, this is my dog. He's wearing a cone right now because we're putting some medicine that he keeps licking, so he's wearing a cone for the first time. Another moment, this was back in Valley Ranch. Jason Witten, we were doing media day when players get to do stuff for the media, for internal media, where we get just content for the year in preparation for the season and all of that. So I was trying to get content for Somos Cowboys, doing stuff in Spanish. That year, I was having players just kind of repeat words in Spanish, football terms, I believe it was. Most players did pretty well. And then here comes the Jason Witten. Again, this was my first year. We're sitting there, but it was bad. I mean, you can't really use that word for Jason Witten. He is great. He's amazing. But in this case, I really appreciated the fact that he was trying. And sometimes you get players that do this where they're like, oh, no, I'm not doing that. I'm just not. And they won't like really want to play along with anything, and they just don't do it. And I'm saying this just in general. That's how some players are. But Jason, he did try. I'll give him that. He did try. He really did. And I really appreciated that because remember my first year, I'm still kind of meeting the players. It wasn't like I have built any kind of relationships with them just yet. This was my first time kind of interacting with most of them. So had he been like, oh, heck no, I'm not doing that or even trying, I think that would have kind of affected me a little bit and like, damn. But he did try and I give him A+ for effort. It was to the point where I never posted it. And that's one of the things, you know, I'm never gonna try to embarrass a player. I try my best that whenever I get content, I do want to position them in the best light as possible. So I kind of make the decision of whether, okay, this was good or this wasn't. We don't try to like make fun of players or do anything that would be embarrassing. So that's another interview that I never posted. I never posted because it was that bad. I just felt like kind of secondhand embarrassment. I'm like, oh, I hate that you're going through this because of me right now, but thank you so much. I love you. I'm a super fan. Thank you for giving me the chance and opportunity and trying. But yeah, that was it. Another moment. All of these stories happened in my first year working for the Cowboys. So I've learned. It was one of the travel games. We were in an away game somewhere. I don't even remember where. We have 2 buses. Back then, I usually always went on the second bus. And I see the time and I'm running late. I'm like, oh my God, oh my. And one thing you do not ever want to do is miss the bus. Anywhere. I can't even imagine the hassle of trying to get to the stadium and go through all of that on your own in a different city, but you never ever want to miss the bus. So I look at the time, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, get my stuff, and rush. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm not gonna make it. Well, I get to the elevator and I see Des Bryant. Whew. Okay, I'm with Des. Everything's all good. I know they're definitely not gonna leave him behind. I mean, they'll leave me, but not him. I made it to the bus. That was fine. So I was telling a coworker that has been there for a really, really long time, telling him the story. I'm like, hey, this happened. I was like running late, but then I saw this Brian. I'm like, I'm so good. And he's like just listening to me and looking at me. He's like, yeah, that's not a good thing. That's definitely not a good thing. And I'm like, oh. Not an embarrassing moment, but I guess when I was telling this story to this person, I was like feeling good about it, and they're like, yeah, that was not a good thing. I'm like, oh, all right, sorry, my bad. Another moment, my first time in the locker room. Side note, I had been doing modeling for a while, and I've been around, not locker rooms, but dressing room. So it is very common for the models to be kind of, changing clothes and all that in front of people. Sometimes you'll see a producer walking by and it's a male producer, and it's just kind of like, it's not a thing where you're like, oh my God, don't look at me. It's just people are working, people are there to work, and it's not really like, oh, here's a perv walking in, checking you out. It's just kind of how it is. So I've been around that setting, in that environment, but never really with a bunch of men and like locker rooms and things like that. So my first time that I walked into the locker room, I was just like, oh my God. Because you walk in there and there's a bunch of players. A lot of them are, coming out of the shower or going to the shower. Obviously, they usually have like a towel around their waist. They'll change facing their locker room. But it was just like, I guess that's not what I expected when I first walked in there. I don't know what I expected. I expected them to be in like workout clothes or their uniforms and things like that, not to be naked and changing and all that. And the weird thing, and I say weird, is because there's a bunch of media people going in there. You have media people going up to players that are like half naked and then asking them questions. I'm like, oh, it's normal. It's totally fine. There's nothing to it. But it's just one of those moments where I wasn't really expecting that. So it was just like a quick shock. And like I said, I've experienced that in the modeling setting, but it was weird the first time I experienced that. Another moment was, again, back at Valley Ranch. For those of you who don't know, Valley Ranch is where they used to have like their headquarters or their facility prior to the Star. And Valley Ranch was extremely small. Like it was really, really small compared to the Star. Valley Ranch, you had the locker room right here, and then right here, right outside the locker room were like the meeting rooms. You know, my job is to cater to the Hispanic community. My job is to do Spanish stuff, things that relate culturally. So I had the idea of doing a video of showing a player how to dance. I can't remember what it was. I think maybe merengue, probably merengue or bachata. No me acuerdo, no, I don't remember. Wanted to show a player just some dance moves and have them do the dance moves. I'm very like unaware of the culture in football and the culture of like Americans, and I was just being very, you know, Hispanics are loud and just kind of out there. I go up to PR and ask them, hey, what player do you think would be down to do this? Because, you know, you gotta have somebody that has the personality. They're like, oh yeah, Bryce Butler. He will definitely do it. If you guys don't remember Bryce, he was a wide receiver. And he's great. He's a great guy. He's super funny. He has a good personality and very energetic and fun. So we were right in front of the meeting rooms dancing. And I'm playing bachata and merengue. If you know Bryce, like, he's loud. At the time, because I'm brand new to this environment, like, I didn't realize, like, to me it was fine. Like, I'm just being me, being Hispanic. But it's one of those things that looking at it now, I'm like, oh my God, how did I even do something like that? Because I don't know how to explain it, but after working with the Cowboys for so long, like, you begin to understand the culture and just kind of how things work and the perceptions of some things, and just looking at it now, like, I would never, like, ever be dancing in front of meeting rooms with a player, getting content like that and just being loud, and that would not be acceptable, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Not that it was a problem or anything, but it's just like, I can't. Again, it was fine, the content was good, we had fun, but the thought of doing that right in front of the meeting rooms and people could hear us, that is just so embarrassing in my head. Part of me kind of misses the old me in a way, because when you're coming brand new to something, so unaware of like the environment in a way, I don't know how to explain it, but you're so, like, you're still you and you're still wanting to try these things, and you're not scared of trying it because you don't see it as a problem or anything bad. What am I trying to say? I don't know how to explain it. I would say back then I was more bold with things. I was more bold in like, hey, let's do this and let's try it. I wasn't afraid or shy or embarrassed to try certain things for content just because I didn't really know the culture. You know, it was just like, to me, it was just normal to me in my culture. But now that I've been there for so long, I know that that is not normal in like their culture. So I've had to adapt, and not because anything ever happened, like nothing bad ever happened, nothing, sorry if my nose is red, I'm starting to get allergies. Now I'm not as bold with content like that because I know that's not how people are. And, you know, like, I don't know. I hope that made sense. It wasn't like a bad thing. It was just like one of those things that, oh my God, things that I would try then that I would not even consider trying or doing, just because you start becoming what your environment is, and that is not the culture here. So it's just kind of like, it makes you feel little awkward. Hope that story made sense. Again, these were not really like embarrassing stories or things that actually were bad, but just little moments during my first year of working with the team, things that happened that luckily now I know better and have gained experience over time. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please let me know which story you liked the best. Thank you guys so much for watching. See y'all next time.